Hello and good afternoon and welcome to the 2020 Student Reporting Labs Academy Showcase. It's so good to see everybody. I'm Elise Estrada, the Senior Director for Student Reporting Labs. Thank you for joining us and for being willing participants of this really magical experiment. We're so excited to celebrate some amazing students today, and this is going to be so much fun. So today we are celebrating the amazing voices and storytelling of this year's Academy Fellows who have persevered in spite of the unusual circumstances that led us to create our first ever virtual Academy Fellowship. We are so lucky to be joined by so many of our friends and supporters today from around the country. We've been working with 28 exceptional students from all over during the last few months, from Virginia, Wyoming, Michigan, Louisiana, California, and many other states. And we've been connecting over Zoom, text, Google Hangouts, Instagram, and yes, sometimes even the phone. These students were supported by the incredible team who provided unwavering mentorship and coached students through the perils and pitfalls of virtual communication and remote production. Every member of the SRL team has contributed to this experience and deserves recognition, starting with SRL Youth Media producers, Victor Fernandez, Bridget Gansky, Eli Kintage, Marie Cusick, Becky Wandel, digital producer Rawan El Baba, and communications manager Marcus Markle, who is overseeing our chat with our summer intern, Layla Jackson, and our former Gwen Eiffel Fellow and current production assistant, Jayla Moore Ross, who also served as our Academy coordinator and provided invaluable logistical support. And then we have SRL Education Project Manager Chris Allen, who is running all of the critical tech on the showcase. Grant Officer Emily Tukachipson is helping to keep time, of course. And then Leah Clapman, founder of SRL, who is going to be coming up to the stage now to talk more about why we're here. So once again, thank you all again for being here and for joining us today. Leah?
Thank you, Elise, and so much gratitude for all the work that went into this event. Student Reporting Labs team and the class of 2020 fellows, you've really shown us why student journalism is so important. You've been ambitious and creative and represented all of the NewsHour's values of accuracy, fairness, and inclusion. Such amazing work. Today, we're celebrating new ways of doing that and all of the local storytelling that Student Reporting Labs was meant to do. These are lessons that we'll take into the future and will make us stronger and better. So let's get going and look at some of what Student Reporting Labs accomplished this year.
Our Student Reporting Labs project reached out to teens around the country to find out what issues they care about and what questions they'd like to hear the candidates answer at tomorrow's NewsHour Politico debate.
In a time where there's a lot of political division in our country, if you were elected president, what would you do to heal that divide?
We're here at the Democratic debate to discuss the importance of young voices in politics.
John, Julia, Josh,
I think a lot of young people feel as though they're not represented and our points and opinions have been invalidated before we even get to speak up.
American students today are more comfortable than ever celebrating their identities in terms of race, class, sexual orientation, or gender. But stereotypes continue. No Labels Attached series explores the stereotypes that pervade the lives of young people and how they're affected by them.
Every male cheerleader goes through some sort of stereotype.
Because of my race, people assume that I'm going to be loud.
People expect trans people to dress or express themselves very certain ways that are quite binding.
It is hard to believe, but today marks 3 years since our dear friend and colleague Gwen Eiffel passed away. Her loss was especially felt by young journalists in the PBS NewsHour Student Reporting Labs.
Dear Gwen, through journalism, I have been able to connect with so many different people.
By now, schools have been shuttered for weeks across the country. High school students share some ways that teenagers are coping in the age of quarantine.
Honestly, I miss the classroom atmosphere. It's sometimes hard to stay motivated when you're at home with all of these other distractions around you.
We wanted to check in with some of our PBS NewsHour student reporters to hear how they have been managing their mental health during this crisis.
My mental health has taken a toll because of all this.
To figure out how high school students are navigating through this giant mess, I checked in with student reporters from PBS NewsHour.
America's youngest labeled generation, known as Gen Z, enters adulthood as the nation grapples with systemic inequities in our institutions.
I don't want to grow up to have kids and have them being scared because of their skin color.
Well, it is roughly 8:12. The polls have closed. But voting is still taking place because there were so many people.
I think the PBS NewsHour kind of taught me news is for everybody, and you have a voice as a student, and your story matters, and the stories that you want to tell matter.
That was amazing. Thank you, Victor, for putting together that year in review. Makes me tear up every time. So now I want to call to the stage PBS NewsHour's amazing leaders, executive producer Sarah Just, and anchor and managing editor Judy Woodruff, who inspire us to be better journalists every day. Judy always carves out time to meet with the Academy Fellows, and we're so honored that you are here with us today. Please welcome to the stage Judy Woodruff.
Hi there. Yeah.
Hi, Judy. Welcome.
There. Okay, good. Good to see you. I'm sorry. It's great to see your smiling face, and it's great to see the smiling face of so many of these wonderful students, young people. Leah has told us so much about the great work that you guys have done. We've followed it as we can on the NewsHour, and we are so excited. I don't have to tell each one of you how important this program is to all of us. I mean, the fact that young people like you can really dig into these stories, can be part of, frankly, reflecting what's going on across the country right now. And it couldn't be a more important time, not just for all of us, of course, but for your generation. I mean, the issues that we are covering right now, whether it's the pandemic, which affects all of us, whether it's racial justice, which has become a huge part of our coverage on the NewsHour over the last month and longer, much longer. That's been a priority for us really since we began. And when you think about education, when you think about the fact that this is an election year, there are just so many ways that you all can contribute. And the reporting that you've done, the fact that you're going to be able to take back what you learned to your lives, to your school experience, to continue thinking like reporters, to continue, frankly, to ask tough questions of the folks around you. Ask the why, the hard whys, and how comes, and tell me more and why. Those are the questions that matter. So I couldn't be more proud of each one of you. I wish I could meet you in person. It's great to see you on the screen and to look at you in each of your little rectangle boxes, but I'd rather meet you in person, and I'm hoping that Leah is going to tell me that we'll figure out a way to do that in the future. But the program means so much to us. Each one of you is important to us. So please know how proud we are, and congratulations on a great experience that you've had with the Student Reporting Labs.
Thank you so much, Judy. And yes, that is definitely something that we would love to do, is to have everyone join us in Washington, D.C. and Arizona. We were supposed to be. We're going to, really try to make that happen when everything goes back to, the kind of ways that we want it all to be. And now I'm going to call up Sarah Just, who has been such a powerful leader during this news cycle, which is like none other, as Judy described, and ensures that we maintain our focus on what's happening in the nation's schools and homes, and is just an inspiration to all of us. So please welcome Sarah. And while we're waiting for Sarah, which I think should happen once you accept, if this is all working. But I do want to talk about some of our funders and partners who make this all possible. The Corporation for Public Broadcasting, it has been with us from the very start. It gave Student Reporting Labs a seed grant in 2009 to build local journalism programs with stations, and has been with us ever since. We've never looked back. So if this works, I'd love to call Michael Frigale to the stage to say a few words. He's part of CPB and the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. Yay. Welcome, Michael.
Great, thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm not going to take a lot of time because I know we want to get to the main event. frankly, is something that we at CPP look forward to every year. And if you don't tell anybody, one of our most favorite projects that we fund. I just want to say thank you to the participants, to the Academy Fellows. Thanks for believing in yourself and for believing in public media. We really need you. We need your voice. You give us all hope, especially as Judy said during these times. So I encourage you to keep going, to keep telling your stories. Take what you learned this week and throughout the entire year of Student Reporting Labs, share it, use it, and just keep going. So great job to Leah, Elise, and the entire Student Reporting Labs team. And now let's see what you've been up to.
Awesome, thank you, Michael. The few other of our sponsors, the National Science Foundation for supporting our efforts to build digital curriculum tools and teacher community, National Institutes of Health. I know there's a bunch of people from NIH and SEPA on our call on this event, so thank you so much, welcome. Our parent station, WETA, is launching an incredible well-being project in the next month, along with Ken Burns and his production company. It's focused on adolescent mental health, and you'll see a lot of stories coming up and in this session that are really focusing on new kinds of reporting, new kinds of ways of telling these stories from the viewpoint of students themselves. So thank you to Wellbeing and the OSCA Foundation. And finally, the Society of Professional Journalists has been supporting us, and the Frida Berlinski Family Foundation. So before I toss it back to Elise, I just want to say that this is the first time in 6 years I'm not in the same room with all of you, but the fellows have been such a source of hope and made us so proud. We're about to start the show, and if you feel the need to, if you need to leave early, please let us know in the chat and leave a note for our student fellows. So I'm passing it to Elise. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Leah. So yes, let's start this, huh? So during this 10-week fellowship, students participated in a series of virtual workshops with our staff and special guests, while at the same time working on their own pieces. Each fellow's goal was to produce a digital-first news story examining the lives of different groups of people dealing with the long-term impacts of the pandemic. And each group selected a theme like unemployment, mental health, and reported stories that reflected their theme. And you might be able to tell what topics they chose by their team names, which is going to be on a slide coming up in just a second. But the pieces that you're going to see today are compilations of each team's work. Since we won't have time to play every single individual piece, we'll be publishing all of the group stories on YouTube in the next week. So again, what you're going to be seeing today are the montages, compilations of the group work. And throughout this experience, students worked super diligently with their mentors. I am so excited for you to meet them because our fellows really faced extreme circumstances. Navigating the pandemic, the loss of a stable education, the need to support their family in new ways, and just witnessing new social movements, all while trying to be normal teenagers. This whole time, we lifted each other up when things got tough and learned so much about ourselves. And I just want to say to our fellows, we see you and we're so proud of you. And I'm like tearing up now. And I didn't think that would happen on a virtual event. We're so proud of you for embracing this opportunity. The world really needs to hear your voice. And what an honor it is to be a part of this community with you, along with so many amazing teachers in our network. So before we go to the first group, we're going to play a special behind-the-scenes video of our virtual academy. And a group of 5 SRL correspondents, Chloe McCarran, Jenway Dow, Edward Smith, Angel Delich, and Caleb Velez, worked with SRL producer Bridget Gansky to produce this BTS video using the footage we collected from our Zoom recordings and interviews. So let's watch.
My name's Andy.
I'm Kayla.
Justin Sabron. My name's Mickey.
Welcome to the 2020 SRL Academy. 1, 2, 3. For the past 5 years, we've been having these really great journalism camps in Washington, D.C. at the NewsHour, bringing together students from all across the country So this year, we were going to be traveling to the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Communications in Arizona. You know, it was really hard to accept the news that we weren't going to be able to do it for the first time in person. We ultimately decided for a virtual fellowship because there were so many stories that still needed to be told from a youth perspective. And we didn't know exactly how it was going to work, but we knew that we just had to try.
I've always fantasized about what it would be like to be a journalist. I would say the coronavirus has impacted the way that we've done journalism. This is helping for the future for our learning.
I feel like it's a good experience to have to conduct a remote interview like this and produce a piece remotely. Learning how to be a better interviewer, listening to the subject more. And
one of the things I'm trying to learn in this academy is just how to be more confident doing an interview, because I tend to get really nervous for these types of things, and it's been quite the journey of just learning to do new things.
We've been having people come and talk about their experiences with journalism.
We don't give voice to people, but we raise voices.
Part of the moment that we're in is we're seeing different frames. So there's all of these different angles that we can ask these questions about what happened with George Floyd.
And I think that idea of bearing witness, if you have that in you as a journalist, you should never let that go.
For me, it's been kind of challenging just talking to people and researching for nights on end, but I think I have a pretty good story to tell.
A goal I would have is just to continue to push myself to become a better storyteller and take the tools I have and use them to tell stories that are more information dense and more effective.
What makes it all worth it is the satisfaction that I got the work done. Somebody is going to see it somewhere and they're going to learn something new.
And that's a wrap for the 2020 Student Reporting Labs Academy.
Bye. Have a nice day.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Oh my gosh, I swear I didn't think that I would be tearing up today, but I am just time and again as we are going through these amazing videos. And it truly has been an unforgettable experience. So, all right, let's hear from our teams and these incredible students. So first up, we have the team Reporting Lab Rats led by youth media producer Marie Kusick. So Marie, take it away, come on stage. And let's see your students' work.
Hi, everyone. Share our students' work. So we decided the first day that we met that we'd be the reporting lab rats because this whole thing is one big experiment and we're the ones testing it out. So our group includes Harlow Frank from Daniel Pearl Magnet High School in Los Angeles, California, Kat Gonzalez from Canyon High School in Santa Clarita, California, Shekinah Golfin from University Prep in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Sophie McDonough from the Health and Science School in Beaverton, Oregon, and Anley Ramirez from Ontario High School in Ontario, California. The students covered how underrepresented communities are living through this pandemic. So we're going to hear a number of voices in the piece, including a teenager who talks about how he's dealing with living through quarantine, a discussion about LGBT homeless youth, and a musician who's trying to maintain his sobriety while under lockdown, as well as an artist and activist who discusses how the pandemic has shaped the Black Lives Matter movement. So let's watch the video.
I would say the pandemic affected me in more socially than ever. School was it was kind of my universe. That's where I would talk to a lot of people. The silver lining for me is that I get to stay here at home. I feel like this period, it connected me a lot with my dad, who I haven't seen in a long time, because him and I would be like ghosts living in the same house. He would wake up really early and come back late, tired, and so I wouldn't be able to talk to him. And I would do much the same. Now we actually get time to chat, converse. I got to meet my dad again.
Houselessness is a queer issue, and I think one of the largest reasons is families, parents and guardians don't always know how to create the safest, accepting, and affirming environment when it comes to gender and sexual identity. When you are sharing something so vulnerable, it's really important to live in a place where you feel accepted, because that is creating that safe living environment for you. So if you don't have that, even if you technically have the option to have a roof over your head, sometimes it's actually not the safest option. We are a harassment-free drop-in space for sexual and gender minority youth ages 13 to 23. Currently, we're actually temporarily closed. The number one main struggle that I hear people talking about, the lack of community. And you can't come to Smirk and dress in drag for the night and be your loudest, proudest self. You will miss that.
So I've been sober for over 3 years now. All I do all day, every day now is play guitar, play music, you know. I have all the time in the world now to do that, you know. But mentally and with my sobriety and stuff, it does get a little hard because, you know, usually it's like we always say, staying home, like idle hands are just, it's the devil's playground, you know. It's really easy to fall into like these mental patterns that are super not healthy and super like just easy to kind of fall into, you know, the same old habits. Within like the sober community, there's a lot of like meetings online that we can attend and stuff, and you know, just kind of reaching out over the phone to a lot of my sober buddies is what really kind of helps me out in that sense. It's a cliche whenever they say 1 day at a time, 1 hour at a time, 1 minute at a time, 1 second at a time, but sometimes like you really have to hold on to that, you know, you really have to hold on to that just like 1 moment at a time to really get through those tough times.
I am an artist and activist. I sing and write and dance and act. We need change, and we need it desperately, I think, in the world at large, but also really, really greatly needed in this country. You can't ignore it, I think, is what COVID-19 has done for the movement. It's made it impossible to ignore. It's white people's turn. Racism is an issue that they need to deal with, that they need to fix because they created it. I think love is the answer. Love is the answer. We have to love ourselves, we have to love each other, and we have to see each other as human beings.
Well, congratulations, everybody on the Reporting Lab Rats team. It was really powerful and moving. You're all going to come up on the stage right now with some help from Chris.
Hello.
Hey, Sophie. Hey, Kat. Arlo. Wishakina. Well, again, I just want to say I'm so proud of all of you. This has been such an extraordinary year, and you guys have just shined. So there's so many important stories to tell right now. So I just want to ask you, briefly about this experience. Let me start with you, Harlow. We heard right at the top from your friend Jose, who you interviewed. He talked about getting closer to his dad. What was it like? You had to coach him to send you all the video for that piece, right? What was that like to try to remotely direct someone like that?
It was a challenge, but I think he did a really good job on it. And it's a little hard to like say what you need, what shot you need from him. But like if you just give him a little bit of detail and like help him at every step, I think that helps a lot.
And Sophie, I remember your story was about LGBT homeless youth, and you really thought this was important to tell because LGBT youth are overrepresented in the homeless community. So I know when we talked, we thought this is going to be really hard because you're in your house, and it would be really hard to get video and really hard to find someone to interview. So how did you go about pulling this off?
Well, a lot of it just had to do with just a lot of background research. Like I had to do a lot of research trying to find
who I should interview, who I should talk to, that will really be able to represent, this very underrepresented community. But, after doing some research, I realized that, especially where I live, like, just homelessness in general is a very big issue. And there's quite a few organizations around my area that I was able to find. And then, as you said, it is difficult to, be able to do this remotely. But I think just being very open and, really good communication is important. But yeah.
Awesome. Well, congratulations to all of you again. You've done an amazing job and we're super proud of you.
All right. Hey, everyone, we're going to mix it up a little bit and we're going to try to bring Sarah back on the stage before we move on to Rawan Elbaba and her group, the Yeehaws. So Chris, if you could help bring Sarah to the stage. And Sarah is the executive producer for the PBS NewsHour. And as I said, this year has been just such an incredible, the news is unprecedented, and Sarah's been leading us through these super challenging times. And so we're really happy to have her here at this screening and hopefully here on the stage, if this works. I'm going to wait one more second. And then we are I'm going to pull up Rawan Elbaba, and she can start to talk about the work that her group did way down in Texas.
Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be with all of you. So thank you for joining me. So just kind of starting off, I am Rawan. I'm SRL's digital producer, and I had the pleasure of working with Team Yeehaws, which we chose that name because the team is all from Texas. So, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. So my team includes Alexa Blanco from Navarro Early College High School in Austin, David Kong from Westwood High School in Austin, and Justin Sabran from Oak Ridge High School in Conroe, Texas. Our group had the theme of mental health during lockdown. So these stories included there's some stories about teens with ADHD, a student athlete finding a way to stay in shape while at home, and another story about a graduating senior and just how important graduation was and kind of the heartbreak of missing that. So let's play the video.
I know that this quarantine stuff is stressful for all of us, but with ADHD, it's been very challenging few weeks for me. Being cooped out in the house all day for many weeks has been very hard for me to handle, especially without activities. So during this stressful and very bad situation, I'm coping by watching TV and playing video games with my friends and reading books and doing all that stuff.
It affected my college offers in a kind of positive way, honestly. It definitely speeded up my recruitment because it gave coaches more time to, sit at home and, look for some film on, great talent across the United States, of course.
I graduated. It definitely feels super surreal to me just because graduation was something that I always dreamed of.
I decided to come outside because it was getting a little bit overwhelming inside. I feel like I stressed out so much during school that I never really focused on myself.
Although hard and stressful, if we all do our part staying at home and following the quarantine orders, this will be over soon and it'll be all right.
All right, so that going on what Elise was saying also brings me to tears. I'm really proud of everyone, especially our small but mighty team. And I know it wasn't easy to work together remotely, even though we were all in the same state. Well, I'm here in Virginia, but my team is all in the same state, and they couldn't even see each other. So again, just want to emphasize how proud I am of them. And I wanted to be able to bring on my team members. There's David, Alexa, and Justin. I hope Alexa's able to join us. I know she was at work. Hey, Justin. And then go ahead and wait for David as well. So while we're waiting for David, Justin, I know you and several others in this fellowship were actually working full time. So can you talk a little bit about balancing everything, like producing your story while also going to work and being an essential worker? Can you talk about that a little bit?
It was definitely difficult to manage time. For my time, it's very strict too. And being coordinated with someone else's time who's also very strict, it was difficult trying to pair it up together. But ultimately, it was challenging, but it was kind of.
Yeah, and so Justin's story was about a high school football player who's actually a star athlete in their school and has 30 college offers already to play football. So his story was about, maintaining his health while, under lockdown. And so he talks about not having weights at home. Can you talk about why you chose that story?
I chose that story personally because I'm very involved in sports. I love everything about it, and knowing him personally, like I know like he's a person who loves activity, he loves being outside, and like that's where he builds his personality. And having that taken away from him, I know it affects him that.
Gotcha. Thank you so much. Yeah, it was such a pleasure working with you and the team. I'm not sure if David and Alexa can hop on, but maybe we can come back at the end. So I am gonna pass it on to the next person, but I'm so proud of everyone. And back to you, Elise.
Yeah, and if you guys want to stick Rowan, or if Justin can come back for a second, if possible, as we try to figure out if David can join. But I know that in spending time with your group, something that David mentioned, and I hope that he can say it in his own words, is just the fact that he was able to articulate his ideas in new ways throughout this experience, because he wasn't able just to work by himself or with like students at a school. He really had to figure out how to convey his ideas in a new way. That really stuck out to me when I was meeting with your group throughout the academy, and then leading up to the final production, just the importance of that skill, and also kind of, getting beyond your comfort zone to get the story, to get the interviews that are really important when producing.
Right, and adding on, this is for a lot of them, the first time they're ever producing a story, let alone virtually. So again, kudos to the team and the rest of the fellows for, trying their absolute hardest to put together stories that are important to them, especially with a topic as important as mental health, which is just, especially teen mental health, is just so important to cover. And I'm sure my colleagues can agree with me on that. And we're going to just continue covering mental health stories, hopefully throughout the year. Oh, there's David. David, so since you're here, I would love for you to talk about what are some new skills that you learned while producing this story on your friend, a teenager with ADHD under lockdown.
I think the main thing I learned from this academy was how the industry standard is for the workflow. Like when I'm working alone, it's hard for me to have a chance to like send my work to other people to get their feedback and do that over and over to make a finished project. But for this project, like I sent like dozens of final outputs and I got them back to fix more things. And I think that was a learning experience that I got from this academy.
Yeah, there was a lot of back and forth and collaboration, which I really enjoy. David's always, open to suggestions and very straightforward. Like, what do you need me to do? I'll do it. So I really appreciated that. And I also miss David's Zoom background. If you guys don't know, David had this awesome Zoom background in all of our meetings. There was like 4 Davids in the back. Very meta. But yeah, thank you again. And pass it on to you, Elise.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Go Team Yeehaws. Thanks for all of your hard work. Okay, so next we're going to bring up Team Midtimes. Oh, wait, Alexa's here now. Wait, come back. Team Yeehaws, come back.
I don't know how to use this.
No, that's okay. We're so happy that you made it. I know that you have been working. Can you tell everybody here, since you're just joining, like what job you just came from and what your schedule has been like?
Yeah, just
got out of Starbucks. I'm still here. You can see it. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. So Alexa, thanks for joining us. Oh, there's a team. Woo! Small but mighty team. So Alexa, like Justin, was also working full time, and you ended up doing a story actually about yourself, which happened to be kind of about you being a senior, going off to UT Austin in the fall, and what that meant to you. So could you just elaborate a little bit more on, doing a story about yourself and what that process was like, being vulnerable on camera, talking about your mental health, and having a virtual graduation?
Yeah, it's been a couple of like strange weeks lately. Yeah, I've been working almost every day, and I work from 4:30 in the morning till between 2 or 3, and then I do some internship work. I was doing some internship work, but yeah, it was pretty weird just because like watching it while editing, I was like, dang, I look really sad, but it was just like more like overwhelming for me because
It's okay. Continue. It's fine.
okay, yeah, and then the virtual graduation was pretty weird for me. It was just really strange. First, my name was mispronounced, so I was like, "Is that me?" And then I saw my picture, and it was. But it was just really strange because I don't know. I kind of really wished that we could have had a ceremony. So yeah, that was weird to record. But yeah, it looked like I was sad the entire film, but it was just because it's been, like I said, overwhelming just doing so much even during our summer break. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure. And again, I want to tell you how important it is that you stuck with it and you were resilient through it. And we're just so proud of you.
So, thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys. Okay, I think Elise, now we're good to go.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm so happy.
Thanks, Alexa, for joining.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you guys so much. Thanks for one again. All right, so next up is Midtimes Journal, led by Becky Wandel. Come on up, Becky.
Hey guys. Hello. My name is Becky Wandel, and I had the absolute privilege these past 10 weeks of leading the Midtimes Journal team. So our team came up with that name because all 6 of the amazing young women in our group are from the Midwest. So our group includes Hannah Bradley from Cleveland Heights High School in Cleveland Heights, Ohio, Michaela Bloom from Trumbull Career and Technical Center in Champion, Ohio, Ellie Wirtz from Black River Falls High School in Black River Falls, Wisconsin, Trinea Hayes from Cass Technical High School in Detroit, Michigan, Elliot Corbin from the FV Pankow Center in Clinton Township, Michigan, and Emily Birnbaum from Royal Oak High School in Royal Oak, Michigan. So our group, as you can see, is all kind of located together. A lot of them were organized that way. And because of that, we kind of pursued really local stories. So our team was really passionate about climate change. And we had the interesting challenge of really wanting to pursue a climate change story, but also tying it into COVID because that was sort of what the Academy was doing this summer. So we ended up producing 2 distinct packages. Each involved 3 fellows. So 3 of our fellows live in or around Detroit. So they produced a piece about air pollution in Detroit and how that affects lung health and potentially a COVID infection. And then our other 3 fellows live in more rural parts of the Midwest. And so they produced a piece about how COVID has affected farmers and how those effects might mimic the effects of climate change. So you'll see 2 distinct packages with just a brief pause in between. And with that, I'm gonna take myself off stage.
Due to the recent coronavirus pandemic, there has been outbreaks in almost all the major cities in the U.S. One of the cities with the highest mortality rate being Detroit.
With factories in production every single day and a population of over 667,000, it's no surprise that the pandemic hit hard. But exactly how big of a role does air pollution play in the pandemic?
There's been a recent study from Harvard where they were able to associate the risk of death from COVID-19 infection with increased air pollution. So we're learning that air pollution, where it's increased, is associated with increased problems in patients with COVID-19 infection.
Over the years, chemicals such as nitrogen oxide, sulfur dioxide, and carbon dioxide have been polluting Detroit's air, causing people who have asthma and other respiratory illnesses to be more vulnerable.
Adults in the city are 29% more likely to suffer from asthma, which can be a very dangerous burden during a pandemic.
My grandmother, who suffers from asthma and COPD, gives us an insight on how it feels to live in a highly polluted area with respiratory illnesses.
I want people to know that living with asthma is a scary situation because it's as if something blocks your airway where you can't breathe and you're trying to gasp for air and it's like a blockage. It's a scary situation not to be able to breathe.
How do we solve this problem? Reduce air pollution. The less pollution we see, the better everyone's respiration.
We can't talk about air pollution or COVID without talking about racial discrimination, because some of these longstanding exposure patterns are racially patterned.
In 2016, the rate of asthma hospitalizations for Black adults in Detroit was 35% higher than it was for white ones.
It's important to think about how our pollution affects our health, that it's preventable and it's something we can do something about.
So don't just accept it, act.
My name is Kristen Paff, owner-operator of Paff's Way Farm. As far as the economy of dairy farming during COVID, it was extremely devastating.
For years now, there has been a worldwide surplus of milk, causing the selling price to be lower than the production cost. And due to the pandemic, the price drop in the last 4 months has been extreme.
People are buying less milk, buying powdered milk of all things. Let's face it, I'm 64. When we sat every night at dinner, everyone drank glasses of milk. That doesn't happen anymore.
But this pandemic may only be foreshadowing future economic crises to come. The next big threat? Climate change.
In the Midwest, like we saw last year, we're going to be experiencing stronger storms with more rainfall as a result of climate change.
Mother Nature is not always friendly to farms. Our day revolves around the weather. Farmers can't plant if there's continually flooding.
Farmers want to modernize, but it's not that simple.
This goes back before the COVID-19 pandemic. You know, after the recession in 2008, for instance, urban and suburban counties recovered economically much faster than rural communities did. And I think it's important that right now we recognize these vulnerabilities and we take steps to help keep businesses in these rural places afloat.
Last year alone, there was over 600 dairy farmers in Wisconsin that went out of business. It's my lifestyle. That's how I raised my family. My husband grew up on the farm, bought it from his father, and now our son is taking over. It's something we hope to continue.
What can be learned from COVID to help us prepare for climate change?
It's really not that difficult to expose the vulnerabilities in our society. And climate change is going to do exactly that at a scale that we really need to be prepared for. And so we need to be making these investments to help rural communities protect themselves in a future with a much different climate.
Hello, guys. I almost just started crying there reading the chat. I've spent so much time this week being so proud of all of those fellows and how hard they've worked, and to see their work be appreciated like this is bringing a tear to my eye. So I'm so proud of you guys. So our first group that hopefully is coming up, I see Ellie. We're going to hear from the producers who worked on that last piece that was about rural effects of climate change and COVID. So that is Miss Ellie Wirtz, Hannah Bradley, and hopefully Michaela Bloom. So let's start, Hannah. I really liked in a reflection piece that you did about, oh, hey, Michaela. Everyone just mute yourself if you're not on. Yeah, you got it. Hannah, in your reflection that you did about your experience, you mentioned that over these 10 weeks, you grew more confident in yourself. Could you tell everyone a little about that? Oh, you're on mute, girl. Sorry.
Anyway, like I was saying, yeah, for sure. My family and people who know me, really know me, they know that I do not like talking to people by myself because I have an irrational fear of messing it up, or I don't believe in my skills to do what I need to do. And like, I want to say last 10 weeks, I've really learned to like trust in my abilities and really give myself more credit than I have been giving myself for like, I don't want to say years, but for a while. So yeah, I really just grown as a person, not a lot, but grown as a person and know my value when it comes to, doing these videos and doing the interviews and stuff like that.
Well, you did such an awesome job. You should feel confident. That makes me so happy to hear. And it reminds me of Michaela, something you said once on one of our like meetings after we had just gotten to know each other and we were starting to be a little more friendly, you guys as a group. And you mentioned that it was really unique that you were able to actually like connect with people your age from really different, circumstances. So could you talk about what that was like?
Yeah, so kind of like Hannah, I'm a reserved person. I don't really talk to a lot of people. So when I found out we were going to be in groups, I was like, oh no. And I was kind of nervous about it at first, but then it was weird because we're all from so many different places, complete strangers, but like we get along so well. And it's just so weird. It's a weird thing to think about, for real.
Definitely. And I really liked one time you guys like stayed late on the Zoom meeting and we're just talking all about like, oh, does your school have dress code? Like, oh, this is what happened at my school with dress code. And it warms my heart to see you all finding stuff in common. So thanks for mentioning that. And lastly, Ellie, I wanted to ask you, you were one of the people that was most vocal about wanting to pursue a story on climate change. Could you tell everybody why?
Yeah, first of all, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you just be like loudish?
Yeah. Okay, so coming from a rural community, the effects of climate change look a lot different than they do in suburban areas. And that makes it a lot easier for people around me to kind of like discredit the facts behind climate change. And so I just thought it was like really important, especially for me, to be able to like portray how it really is affecting like the people that support our community.
Thank you so much. I think that's such an important perspective. Bravo, guys. We're going to quickly bring up the other half of our team. So that is Ellie. No, you're Ellie. Elliot, Emily, and Trinea.
Hello.
Heyo. Oh, yeah.
Hello.
Hey, team. I don't know if we're going to get a chance to ask all of you guys questions, but Elliot, I really wanted to know what you learned over this process. I think you had a couple of good answers for that.
So I've obviously learned a lot about like interviewing and like doing it virtually and all that stuff, but the main thing I learned is time management because I'm a huge procrastinator. So usually if I don't want to do something or something like that, it just doesn't get done or it gets done like way past the deadline. But I obviously couldn't do that with the academy. So it taught me how to manage my time and get stuff done and in by the deadline.
Yeah, that's a challenge. We all had some deadline challenges. I know Emily worked really hard on that too. And Trinea, I just want to ask you as our last question, could you just tell us what you're proudest of having completed this process?
The most thing I'm proudest of is actually making my own video with the help of Becky, but also this is the first time I've ever like edited everything by myself and got all like my research done. And that's the most thing I'm proud of.
Great. I'm so proud of you guys too. I think it's time for us to go to our next group. So thank you guys so much.
Amazing. Thank you, Becky, and thank you, Mid-Times Journal, for your incredible work. And just a reminder for everybody who is here, please leave your words of appreciation, especially if you have to leave, because this webinar is going to go until 4 p.m. So we just want to make sure that students hear from everybody and that we give students enough time to talk. So that's just a friendly reminder, and also that we have polls going on as student groups are going through. So now we're going to hear from Turtle Sync, and I can't wait for everyone to hear the origin of that name, and their team leader, Victor Fernandez. Victor, come on up.
Hi.
Hi. Hi.
Hi, everybody. Well, turtles sing. I know you're wondering where that name came from. And during this fellowship, during the academy, I always encourage them to create a chat, to talk to each other and everything. And their first chat that they were talking about, okay, we have to come up with a name. They said that they were talking about class pets, and one of the teachers had a class pet that was a turtle, and it was kept in the sink. And somebody else from the group said, oh, that'd be a really cool name for a band. So they named themselves Turtle Sink. And that's the backstory about the group that you're about to see a story about. We have selected a topic, which is the economic impact of COVID-19. Now, the great thing about this story is that you're gonna see 6 different stories into one from 4 different time zones. So it's great to see how in our own country, we have so many different stories, from teens and adults losing their jobs, internships being canceled or modified to fit the CDC guidelines. And you also see some students working through the pandemic, and tourist towns, how they were affected also economically, because there's no tourists coming to their town. So I will introduce all the members later after we watch the video, so let's get to it.
Quarantine has definitely had a huge effect on Cody, because our where we get most of our money from for all the businesses comes from our 3 short months in the summer. People haven't been getting as much business because not as many people have been coming into Cody.
Well, since Hawaii is really based off of tourism, and our economy really depends on it, and especially my workplace, my job was to just watch the helicopters at the end of the day when they land, clean the hangar, and just maintain the helicopter. I was pretty bummed because I actually liked my job, and it was that was a really good first job since being a high schooler. That's really a unique job for someone to be working at a helicopter tour place.
It's been a little weird because I work at a sandwich shop, and we have to social distance there, and it was so funny. The first couple times we went in, our boss, he would come out and say, okay, now try to make sure that you're 6 feet apart. I know it might be difficult because we'll get sandwiches that we have to make and you have to be right next to each other, but maybe try to not socialize as much when you're doing that, and make sure you've got a distance before you're really socializing. It's a great environment there, and that was kind of cool being able to go there because everyone there was super nice, and if you were more sensitive to the subject, they understood and they gave you your space, and it's been a really cool thing getting to work with such neat people.
My family has been affected by the coronavirus pandemic. My mom has been unemployed for over 3 months, and she recently has gone back to work. My sister and me are home, and we're doing chores, and it kind of worries us how they're back at work because we don't know if they're safe or not.
To be totally honest, when we found out that we were going to be able to reopen, I'm like, oh yay, this is awesome. And then the anxiety kicked in where I was thinking, oh man, we're going to reopen. So there were lots of different policies I had to figure out and try to figure out ways to still be legal and be able to operate. So we had to have more cleaning stations and had to have things marked out on our mats to show that we were 6 feet apart. You have to be assigned one partner for a long period of time, and if they can't train, then you can't either.
Yellowstone National Park had never closed due to a pandemic before, so that was a pretty enormous impact.
Recently, last week, one of the bosses called me up to, if I still wanted to go back. Basically, only tourists go to ride the helicopters. So if we were to open up, fully come back, I would just want to be sure that I'm going to be safe and the people I'm interacting with, my health won't be in jeopardy.
I was looking forward to getting some sort of job. The past 2 years, every time near the summer months, I've tried to find some type of summer job. Our school was hiring students. Of course, we all wanted to participate. So I'm really grateful that I was able to find this opportunity, or for me, in order to able to make money, and especially doing something that I enjoy doing.
They really aren't looking to take people on right now,
it seems like if you want to be able to do this, you kind of have to get really, really lucky. You gotta find something online or find, that one rare business that's kind of willing to socially distance, and that's hard to do.
Our students were really, really happy that we were open, but again, it was bittersweet because it wasn't the same still, but it's baby steps, which we're really excited to move forward with. If you know someone, like one of your family or friends that own a business, it's great to go to them first. The more that we are able to support local, the better.
All right, I hope everybody enjoyed that. It was a pleasure of mine to work with these beautiful ladies who did an amazing job and work together so well. So let's invite them onto the stage. It might take a few seconds for them to come on. There we go. We got Gracie, Rose, Tashi, Kate, and Yonso. So Sienna will come on when we ask her the question. So Sienna, just hold on until we get through everybody because we have to kick somebody out in order for you to come in. So just hold on. All right, so let me introduce everybody. So, and then that way we'll go right into their experience in the academy. So we got from all the way from the East Coast, Rose Huber from Alonzo and Tracy Moore Senior High in Miami, Florida. Say hi, Rose. And when we travel all the way to the mountains, we have Gracie Gibbs from Madison Senior High School in Rexburg, Idaho.
Hi.
Tashi Mathiam from Cody High School in Cody, Wyoming. Now in the West Coast, we got Youngso Sok from Westview High School in San Diego, California. And from Hawaii, we got Sienna Rakoma from Maui Intermediate School in Kahului, Hawaii. And Kate Nakamura from Kauai High School in Lihue, Hawaii. Thank you, ladies. So let's start off with Gracie. Gracie, when we had our meetings, you kept telling us it's different over here in Idaho. And it was different for you to find a story because tell us how it was different for you.
It was really different for me to find this story here in Idaho because Idaho actually, when the academy opened up, Idaho was going through their opening process, our 4-stage opening process. And so everything started to open up. And so I was like, oh no, how am I going to be able to find a story if society's going to go back to normal again? And so I ended up finding a story and I was super proud of it. And I was really excited. I was able to find someone who was able to share her experience about working during the pandemic.
Great, thank you, Gracie. And Rose, what were some of the challenges in producing the story remotely?
I mean, coming into the newly online program, I had never done anything like this. So when I heard that we would be creating stories remotely, I kind of seized up. I had no idea what to do. I mean, we all have such busy lives. So trying to match, our schedule with the schedule of our subjects and get B-roll, it was such an unexpected challenge that we all had to work around.
That's great. Thank you, Rose. Now let's go to Kate. Kate, I've been telling you girls from the beginning of this academy, this is a fellowship. You cannot be together, but you're gonna have to be sort of together, connecting with each other. So I was like, oh, you guys should create a chat room. And they were like, we're way ahead of you. We already have a chat room going on. So in this fellowship, what did you guys learn from each other as you get to know each other from, you're different parts of the country, you're from different time zones altogether. So what did you guys learn from each other?
I mean, I think we just learned about what's going on where all my group members are living. And I also think that we're also kind of similar in a way because we kind of have the same personality. So we kind of got to bond and also learning how they kind of tell stories and how they work in a group and how we share ideas and how we can collaborate.
All right, thank you, Kate. I hope everybody was able to hear that. From my side, it sounded a little distorted, but hopefully we were able to get some of the words that you were saying. Thank you, Kate. All right, so Sienna, what were some of the challenges? And I know you had some. What were some of the challenges of producing your story?
Some of the challenges were like the deadlines, maybe I say, or the time zones, because all of us are in different places and we all had to figure out times to meet together and like deadlines that fit everyone. So yeah. Yeah, that's definitely a challenge. And we know working with schools in Hawaii that, you know, our 3 p.m. is your 9 a.m. So it's like definitely, you know, we try to work our best with those time zones, but thank you for pushing through and getting it done. That's great. Tashi, what were some of the highlights of telling the story?
I would say there were several highlights. This was an awesome experience, but I would say definitely having kind of like a safe atmosphere to adapt to kind of the virtual world in, and being kind of guided through this experience and doing it with this amazing group. And yeah.
Thank you, Tashi. And last but not least, Yeon-Seok, your overall experience?
Going into this, I was pretty like doubtful about how this is gonna all work out. I was really bummed that we couldn't meet in Arizona, but looking back, I feel like this was a blessing in disguise. I've grown in ways that I would have never imagined, and this academy has pushed me in so many different ways, and it feels good to be leaving this academy with a family, a second family that I know that I can rely on, and you know, I'm just grateful for this experience.
Thank you, Yeon-Seok. Thank you to everybody in the group. I'm so proud of you. You guys did an amazing job. Now let's get back to the show.
Awesome. Thank you, Turtle Sink. You guys are amazing. And I can't believe that we're already at our last group. We have one more group and before we wrap up. And I hope that everybody is able to stay until the very end, because that is when we're going to bring up some of the teachers who have been supporting our fellows as well and throughout the school year and over the years. So please stick around. But in the meantime, let's enjoy our last group. I can't believe we're already at this time, like I said. So let's bring up to the stage Eli Kintich, team leader for The Essentials.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining our showcase. I'm the leader of The Essentials. We have 6 students from around the country. Bridget Adu-Wadier from T.C. Williams in Alexandria, Virginia. Caleb Hernandez of Legacy Early College High School from Greenville, South Carolina. April Marino of Cape May Tech in Southern New Jersey. Kevin Myers of Dominion High School, Sterling, Virginia. Cecilia Spencer of University View Academy in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And Maddie Weiss of Pleasure Ridge High School in Louisville, Kentucky. And our focus was on essential workers, the people who are keeping our economy going during this pandemic. And we profiled 2 members of the medical profession, and also a psychologist. We looked at 2 people in the food industry, and we had one member of logistics in Louisville at UPS. So here's our video.
Our black and brown brothers and sisters are dying from the disease at a higher rate than our non-black and brown brothers.
We're only doing takeout. We probably have lost 50% of our income.
I got this job because my dad got laid off.
I'm at risk because I'm asthmatic.
So the ventilator that's attached to them is completely supporting them. And to know that like that could happen to your family member or yourself is just scary.
The risks are very high.
There's a lot of destabilization that people are experiencing, and that really creates a sense of not being in control.
My job is to weigh the containers to ensure safety of flight. We move medicine, a lot of the essential products. It's a sense of pride knowing that I'm able to contribute.
My restaurant means everything to me. It's been in the family for a little over 10 years now.
Psychologists are definitely essential workers. We are at the forefront in terms of being there for our community, providing counseling, providing emotional support.
I worked as a respiratory therapist technician. It was a temporary position created because of COVID. You assist the respiratory therapist in providing them with care.
In Louisiana, and I guess I can say across the country, I'm known as the hip hop doc, and I use music and medicine to educate young people on health issues.
One of the things that we need to do along with social distancing.
Dancing during this pandemic entirely and with this job, it's like a way of like pushing my feelings out.
Okay. As a restaurant owner,
And as a physician,
As a healthcare worker,
As a restaurant worker,
As members of the Latino community,
as a mother,
it's up to us to be here for our community and all of our patients.
it's up to us to continue to raise the alarm.
it is up to us to serve a customer with a great dining experience.
It's important that we keep the world moving.
For watching. Now I want to bring on stage members of our group. We have April Marino, who is actually unable to join with video, so she actually recorded a message I'm going to try to play. And this is Bridget Adu-Adie. So 1 second, Bridget. I'm just going to try to show this. Let's see how this works.
I believe it is important to tell the stories of essential workers because we're living in a time where it's really hard to work jobs that involve human contact, and essential workers, they're putting their health at risk, and it's something that we need to put more recognition into and kind of like be able to respect to, if that makes sense. Because when you work in a job that involves a bunch of human contact, you're not only risking your health, but your family's health as well. Like personally, I'm an essential worker, so I know how it's like to come home in fear of putting your family at risk. So that's what
So thanks, April. I want to start by asking Bridget a question. Bridget, you've worked with SRL in the past during the school year, but this was different. What was it like producing pieces remotely during the lockdown?
Producing remotely was very stressful for me personally because I was taking care of my siblings a lot of the time, helping out with my mom, and just balancing those family responsibilities along with journalism and meeting deadlines. So I was, trying to balance, being an older sister and helping my mom with being a journalist, and that was tough.
Talk about, Bridget, say a little more about what this fellowship meant to you, this academy.
This fellowship meant for me an opportunity to work on my own and really test my video production skills. Before this, I didn't think I was that great at video, but this academy really did provide me an opportunity to really build my skills and my confidence and my ability to learn.
Kevin, you're in Virginia. Talk about how remote production and this academy played out in your case. Why don't we go ahead to Cecilia? Cecilia, you profiled a doctor in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Talk about what you learned.
Well, I gained a lot of new interviewing skills from this, like how to ask questions, and also I learned how to format, B-roll and how to make it appropriate to the video.
That's great. Maddie, talk about what this experience meant for you and some highs, some lows of the academy.
Well, there were a lot of highs and lows with the academy. A lot of the lows being like doing this from home, because that was a whole new experience that I never learned before. So getting B-roll, finding someone to interview was just really hard. But a lot of the highs included like meeting everyone here, having a great group leader, and learning a new way of how to produce remotely. So.
Thanks. Caleb, your focus was on a psychologist in Greenville, South Carolina. Talk about what you learned.
Yeah, her name was Angelica Perez, Dr. Angelica Perez. She said that while in her experience in this total chaos, that 70% of the patients that they were treating in the Addiction Research Center and for mental health were Hispanics because they were uneducated of the area and that they were suffering anxiety.
And Kevin, why don't you tell us what you thought of the academy?
So like I had a lot of fun, and it was like a great experience to sort of work like on like such a piece for like a real news outlet like PBS, and to just like have like other like producers like you like look at my work and edit it and like give suggestions. I feel like that's been really beneficial.
Well, I just want to congratulate all of you. I've really been an honor mentoring you, and I'm really inspired by the work you've done under lockdown. We have these amazing essential workers, and I think telling their stories is an important role of journalists during this time. And so I think you have a lot to be proud of in sharing such important narratives at a time of crisis for our country.
Thank you so much, Eli, and thank you everybody from Team Essentials. I'm so proud of everything that you've accomplished over the past 10 weeks. And that goes to all of our fellows who are here with us today. And I can't believe that was our, oh, hey, Bridget. Well, you can hang out. Oh, okay. I can't believe that was our final group. So congratulations on all of this inspiring work. And as we work to gather some questions, I know that we've been collecting some throughout the show. I wanted to bring up some of the teachers on stage who have been supporting these students, as I mentioned, and the SRL teams in so many ways. So first I want to bring up Michael Kaufman, if he can be invited to the stage. His student, Elliot Corbin, was part of our academy this year, and they are from the Detroit, Michigan area. So let's see if Michael Kaufman can join us. And then actually, why don't we also bring up a couple other teachers in the meantime, Cynthia Booker, Jen Suzuki, Mike Conrad. We can just have a conversation on screen. Hey, Mike.
Hi, how are you, Elise?
I'm doing so well. So happy to see you. So happy to see everybody here in this webinar. So tell me, what did you think?
Oh my God, it was outstanding. It was moving. It was. I was really amazed at, and what everyone else managed to say was the B-roll. How these kids were able to get that kind of B-roll in this kind of environment and mix it in, and their shot sequencing, it just blew me away. Just blew me away.
Yeah, and I mean, we've been to the academy before, right? So this was, it feels like a showcase that we would do in person, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. I felt like I was right there, and I felt like some people were tripping to get up on the stage when they couldn't get up on time. I mean, it just felt so real.
Amazing, Cynthia. You were going to say something.
Yeah, I ditto to what Michael just said. And I just want to commend SRL for everything that they have done, what they continue to do. If I could leave some words of encouragement for the students, is just to let them know that yes, while the subject matter is very important, networking is equally important, if not more important. And that they should look at this as a great resume builder. And for Hannah, my student, I am looking forward to her bringing back all of this information and to inspire her classmates. So thank you. And my eyes were getting quite moist throughout the entire program today too.
Yeah, I'd have to totally agree with you. And Cynthia, can you just tell everybody where you're from?
Yes, I work in Cleveland Heights, Ohio. at Cleveland Heights High School, and Hannah Bradley was my student. I was glad to see there was a student from Trumbull County, also in Ohio too, on a part of the program.
That's amazing. And so we're going to continue the conversation, but I just want to let our audience know that we're going to have this final moment where we're going to share a special screenshot with everybody that we just did earlier today. So again, if everybody can stick around, and we're also going to try to answer some questions. So Jen, you have been, I think, to every single academy that we had in person. And now that, we experienced this first virtual fellowship, how's it been going for you? And what did you think of the show and Sienna and everybody?
I thought it was amazing. The kids are so smart and so capable. This is such a strange time that we're living in, and for them to actually be reporters during this time, I don't know if they understand how crazy, amazing, and cool that is, but they're actually documenting history that it's pretty important, something that we've never lived through before. So this was such an opportunity for them, and especially Sienna. I was so glad that she was there.
And please
I think she gave a lot of confidence. Yes.
Please tell everybody where you are.
Kahului, Maui, Hawaii.
Amazing. Conrad, thank you for joining us.
It's good to be here. Thanks. Detroit representing. It's backwards, but Detroit representing.
Yeah, and your student Emily was in our fellowship this year, and you've been a huge supporter of the SRL community, almost from the beginning. So, please share what you think, what you thought of the showcase and the work that Emily did.
Well, I think the work that was put out was, if you watch the news now, if you watch broadcast news, if you watch local news, they're all trying new ways to figure out how to tell stories. And what the students did over the last 10 weeks is exactly what the professionals are trying to do as well. So they're working at this level that we haven't seen before, both professionally and through students. So I'm incredibly proud of the work that I watched today. I'm really bummed I couldn't be there for all of it. Saw a lot of the kids when we did the art of the interview, but being there with them hands-on, you guys did a great job of facilitating this and making it work for them. And I'm so proud of Emily being involved. I wanted her to be involved in this from the beginning when the applications went out. So thank you for letting her be there.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say thank you, Mike, for being a part of that early on. And so much of what I've heard is that the students actually felt like, they came together for this academy, and they found a safe space. And, Yansu said she found her second family, but that's because, we're able to take what you guys have built in the classrooms and bring those students together, and they're already so, primed for this kind of collaborative work and this kind of storytelling. So it's all about the teachers, everyone who's here and everyone who's also in our chat and viewing. We're just really excited to kind of take what we've learned here with all this digital storytelling and this virtual communication and teamwork and build it together in the classrooms going forward.
Absolutely. And
I texted Elise during this whole thing saying, oh my God, you guys pulled it off. I can't believe you did all of this remotely. Huge props to you and your team.
It's really been an incredible experience, but part of it is just feeling super supported by our teacher community, and that is all of you, and we really mean that. So we have this question while you guys are up. It's for students, and if any of our fellows want to raise their hand in the chat and to be invited to the stage, but I think it also applies to our teachers. So what do you think are some of the most important skills for your faculty advisors to bring to the table? Because this is a teacher who will be working with us this upcoming year and wants to be the best support possible for her students. So let's give students a moment to see if they want to chime in. But what has worked for all of you?
I think right now, just keeping in contact with your students and trying to keep them informed about what's going on in the world. We've been meeting every day still so that we can talk about, because there's so much news going on. There's so many things happening so quickly right now that to keep them focused on that, I think is really important, and to just be a sounding board for their ideas and let them try and figure out what they believe, because there's a lot of information out there right now.
I'm going to chime in. I think that not just staying in touch with them, but letting them realize that this isn't a deficit, that this isn't something that should hold them back, but that they get different opportunities. It's a unique opportunity. This is a great opportunity for them to report on things and people that they wouldn't be able to get a chance to because they're a little more open to it online because they're at their homes, and all of a sudden they'll be able to talk to their mayor, their congressman, get really into the election. They'll be able to talk to people around them they might not normally have access to because we're able to get into their homes. So you showed these kids that they can still do this and do this at a much elevated level than they probably thought they could. And that's what's incredible about what you did today and what these kids have learned.
Yeah, and I think that another question referenced motivation, like how do you stay engaged when you have so much going on and also you're just dealing with so many different kinds of circumstances, both as a society and individually, and, thinking about this coming school year, what have you as educators been thinking about?
For me, student engagement has been the first thing I've been thinking about, first and foremost. And I give these students that you guys worked with over the last 10 weeks a lot of credit because so many schools have been done. Students have checked out. Work was voluntary, but they, carried this all the way through to the end. So that's one of the areas where I'm trying to figure out the best way to do that, and also to make sure that students are heard, because these stories that we just heard came from them, and it's their voice. And if you empower them with that, I think you might get a little bit more engagement.
And I just would add to that is I've been thinking about ways that I can engage the students as well as we get ready to go back for the 2021 school year, whatever that normal will look like. And I'm also thinking about how can I collaborate with other teachers to, maybe talk about ideas, things that they're doing that I can do, because, we're not an island. So just like I'm sure with the PBS Student Reporting Lab, with the students, you talk to them about the importance of collaboration. I think teachers, we have to collaborate too.
Absolutely. And Erica Quick came to the stage. Hello, welcome. Good to see you.
Hi, how's it going?
Good.
Good to see you too.
We have just a couple of minutes, but anything that resonated with you in particular, and please also mention your student who was part of this fellowship.
Wow. Oh, right when I come on the stage, my two daughters walk right in. I was hoping I would have some time, but I'm so thankful for you guys and everything you did. My husband just let them in, but
of course he did. Why would he never
you guys, this is COVID, maybe a prompt you should look at with online learning. But as far as with my for Tashi, I just know I know she had, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I can't.
That's okay.
Let me come back on stage in just one second.
You're fine. Yeah, so Tashi is Erica's student in Wyoming from Cody High School. Hey, Julie Tedens, thank you for joining us. Please, if you can, share a quick word about what resonated with you and what you thought. Oh, nope, Julie had to leave. That's okay, bandwidth issues, totally understand. Okay, well, we're actually pretty much out of time. So thank you, SRL teachers. Thank you, SRL fellows.
I just want you to see Holden really fast.
I know, Holden has grown up so much.
Smaller than I am now.
Unbelievable, that's so amazing. Thank you.
Hey, Elise, I really do want to say you guys did a phenomenal job with all of this, and it's really been inspiring as a teacher, and I can't wait. I mean, and Tashi's going to be able to come back with like all these skills and give it to our staff, and especially being in Wyoming where it can be very remote. It's just amazing that we have this. She had this opportunity. I'm sure I can say that for her, and I just thought everybody's pieces were so good, and I'm like always blown away by like what you guys are capable of doing. It's just, and we're so grateful, I know, to be a part of this and having this group of all these awesome advisors. And yeah, so I just thought, you guys, thank you so much for, still like pushing on and doing it. It's like it's just amazing. So that's my uninterrupted.
And to all the students, stay in touch. Do not let this be the end. Keep in touch with each other. It's important.
It is. This network is always so amazing, the way that the students stay in touch and support each other and support your storytelling, support each other into the future. You guys are going to be colleagues one day, winning all kinds of awards for the stories that you tell.
Awesome. So once again, thank you everyone for joining us. To our fellows who made us so proud, our supporters, the incredible team of producers, educators, and public media professionals, we thank you so much for being here and for your support throughout this experience. And we're actually going to end by sharing a screenshot from our last Zoom call earlier today. Just want to make sure that that's still, okay, great, we have it. So as you saw in our BTS video at the beginning, we did a word wall mural on Zoom, and we did it so to express what we hope to learn during the academy. So just writing down words, putting them on screen. And now that we're wrapping up, we decided to do another one, but this time words of encouragement for each other and for the future. So we thought it would be nice just to put this up as a sign off. So let's put up the group shot as our last words for everybody here. Let's see. Awesome. So we're gonna leave this on screen. You guys can marinate on it a little bit. And really that's it for us. We hope that everybody had a great time, and have a great weekend, everyone. And go journalism and use voice.
Thanks everyone, congratulations.
Congrats fellows, you guys are amazing.